So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Walcom 360 Light Carbonio that I've had for a little while now, but I thought it's about time we got a review done and sorted on this gun. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be looking at the clear coat gun. Now, the clear coat that I'm using here is some Sickens clear coat, I believe. It's quite yellow, but it's more like an express clear than anything else. It looks worse on camera than it is because unfortunately cameras tend to sort of play with colours a little bit, so it's not actually that bad. But I thought I'd run through a few different stages that I've used this spray gun for, so a few clear jobs and also a gloss job as well, to give you guys a little bit of an idea on what I've used this for, my thoughts on it across the time that I've been using it, and also a little bit of a view of how it works as well from a few different shots. Now, this is one of the most recent things that I did. This is using the 1.3 with the standard 360 air cap on it. As you can see, it's got a nice fan on it. It does need tweaking down a little bit because when the fan is on full, it's not quite even. Now, I wouldn't sort of say that I'd put that in the cons section of this spray gun, so to speak, if we're looking at pros and cons, because there's quite a few guns out there now that on full fan don't run a perfect full fan. It's something that I always had a bit of an issue with the Iwata WS400, but for the performance wise of the spray gun, you know, if you've got to tweak the fan a little bit, then I don't really think you can knock having to tweak the fan a little bit for the kind of finish that you can put out with a gun like this. Now, the fan and the atomization on this is absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of overspray on this. This is the HTE version, so the HTE stands for high transfer efficiency, and compared to some of my other guns, I've tested this side by side with another gun with the same clear with two identical panels painted in the same way, and it is more transfer efficient. So the HTE part of this, it is, you know, right. You know, it's not sort of like just marketing or anything like that. It is better at transferring than most of my other guns are. Now, build wise, etc., it's a well built gun. Obviously these have the carbon fibre outers, which I have to say, like, we've just gone through the cold months in the winter here in the UK, which is nice that the cold air coming down the airline isn't freezing your hand. I have found the further I've got on with this, if you're not really OCD with cleaning this, then that carbon fibre does get a bit awkward to try and keep clean. And it does, I find personally, mark quite easily, or more easily than, say, like one of my, you know, metal and finished spray guns, so to speak. But performance-wise, I have to say, as far as the spray gun goes, it's absolutely exceptional. I can't say, obviously, longevity wise how well these are going to last. I've seen a few lads that are sort of iffy on the carbon part, because it's quite a lot of the parts on this are carbon, like the air cap. The ring that holds the air cap on it is carbon. Now, I know you can get replacement parts for these guns, and I kind of get where people are coming from. I've not seen an issue as far as like wear and tear goes. I'd just say that they do mark a little bit easier than I thought they would. And although you can get the spares for them, so if you did like damage that air cap ring or something, which I think you'd have to be doing pretty well to do, my issue would be that with a spray gun of this kind of price, that you don't really want to be replacing parts on it. Now, as far as build quality goes to kind of the other guns out there, if I compare it to the sort of what I'd say is the other four big brands out there these days, so we've got DeVille base, we've got Walcom, we've got Sartor, we've got Iwata. Build quality, I would say, is as good as the W400 and a DV1. I wouldn't say that the build quality is on Sartor level. I think Sartor, as far as their build quality, whether it be their air fed that I've got, whether it be their 3-stage filter, we've just put one of their gun cleaners in, and their spray guns as well, I don't think it's quite up there, which kind of gives me one of the cons for this, that the price range that this is at, like another WS400 is an old gun these days, but you can pick one of them up for like 381 including the VAT. Then you've got the DV1, which sits at around 510. Again, in a digital. So we've just jumped a massive amount in price there to start off with. But obviously the W400 is a non-digital and it's quite an older gun as well. But to jump to the DV1 in a digital, and I'm not a massive fan of the digital gauges, to be honest. They're quirky and they're nice, but I do prefer an old school analog gauge when I'm spraying. It's just the way that I am. And personally, I do find that the gauges with these, with having to pop them on and adjust them and then take them off so they're actually out of the way, because if they're on they do stick out quite a way, I do think they are a little bit of a gimmick. Some people are going to love them, some people are going to be on the fence, some people will hate that kind of gauge. For me personally, I mean, because it pops off, I've already lost one of these digital bits for this, which is a bit annoying. I don't know whether I've accidentally left it in a paint suit or I've taken it home by accident or what, or I don't know, it might be in my camera bag or something, but for some reason I end up like misplacing them all over the place. But price wise, the DV1 in a digital, so if we're comparing the same sort of guns, a digital DV1 is 510. Now I've checked on the Walcom website tonight as of making this video, and one of these with the digital gauge currently sits at 572. So that's quite a lot more than a DV1. Now, I'm not knocking the gun. Performance, everything is exceptional. It does have a really good transfer rate. But when you're talking, build quality, to me, you always think SATA. SATA by far is right up there as far as their build quality goes. And to be honest, quality all the way through. Not just in their products, but just the whole company start to finish. SATA have always been, from my dealings, absolutely exceptional. Now, again, it's not to sort of take away from this, but I think to myself, like, longevity-wise, I'm not sure how long one of these would last. I've seen a few guys that have had them for a few years, and they are starting to look a bit ropey, whereas some of my full metal guns aren't. Now, spraying wise, I've been using this thing flat out all day, every day. I cannot knock the finishes it puts out. It is giving me some material savings, but when you're thinking that most of us professional painters use a base and a clear gun, I'm going to be into the best part of over 1100 quid for 2 spray guns. I wouldn't say that, they're not worth 1100 quid for 2, but when I think to myself that for like just shy of £800 I could get an LS and a WS 400 Iwata, would I be spending that extra to get a pair of these? I'm just not quite sure. Spraying wise, performance wise, everything I think is bang on with these. It's absolutely exceptional. For me, my bugbear with these is just where the price point is. Before Christmas they weren't too bad. Now the price has gone up again, and I'm really on the fence as far as the price point of these goes. But I mean, whether it's on a training day where I've had complete novices, or myself, or even a friend that I've lent one to and he's had a go of it, as far as like user friendliness goes, everything, people have been knocking out some absolutely awesome finishes with this, whether they be a DIY kind of painter or a professional painter that I have had in my shop. They have absolutely loved it. But again, the one thing that's put them off, that a mate of mine's been looking at one, but the thing that's putting him off is the fact that these are just shy of 600 quid, and that seems like a massive amount of money to me to shell out on one spray gun. When I was using the Segolas, they were a nice sort of price bracket. They were in a nice price bracket at the time. I don't know what they're at these days, but I know they were quite middle of the road price wise, and performance wise they were very good, so they ticked all the boxes for me. I'd say that these things are right on the high end of the price wise. Now you are getting high end performance. I'm just not sure, like longevity wise, whether they would last as well as something like a SATA. So the difference in spending that extra 60 60 quid. I'd probably go down the route, if it was, you know, myself that was buying one, of buying the starter. Now, people might say that's biased, some people might say that's unbiased. This is just my personal opinion. I'm absolutely loving these. I will continue to use these. They are exceptional. Some of the finishes that I've got on this, like especially like this, is 2K gloss. If you look at the clip in a minute, the finish on this 2K gloss was absolutely unreal. And this is one of the first times that I'd used this spray gun. I could not knock the finish that I could easily knock out of this spray gun. It's just going to come down to you, I guess, personally, whether you want to kind of shell out that much money on one, or whether you want to look at a little bit less for two, or, you know, I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's down to personal choice. You know, if I was paying out of my own pocket, would I buy a pair of these for base and clear? Like, unless my work changed to sort of really high-end work, then I don't think that I would. One of these is a clear, exceptional. I've used the base gun a lot. Again, it puts down base really, really well. It's just that price point that just leaves me a little on the fence. Spray gun wise and performance, absolutely outstanding. You cannot knock this gun for that whatsoever. So that's it for me for today, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.